What if the truth isn't found in numbers or in endless data, but in the subtle hints of our inner world? In this video, I take you on a journey through foggy, uncharted territory where intuition meets myth and science takes a backseat to the stories that make us human. Join me as we explore why living by our inner guide might be the most honest path to a meaningful life. My inner world lays out a path most meaningful. My guide on this path is intuition. The decisions informed by intuition, based on my inner world, have made life a meaningful adventure. Our culture treasures the thinking, measured, and reason-based scientific rationale that defines our modern era. A statement that's hard to contest. It's no wonder though, because the discoveries made through scientific inquiry have been profoundly fruitful. The subsequent implementation of these scientific discoveries in the market is nothing short of a miracle. Over the past 25 years alone, take a look at what I put on screen here. We have lifted 130,000 people a day above the international poverty line and remarkably improved living conditions. We have increased the accessibility of information and human connection previously thought impossible, drastically decreased the level of childhood mortality, increased our global levels of wealth tremendously, and are on the cusp of creating something more intelligent than ourselves, and are even communicating with each other through our dreams. In all this beauty, we seem to have lost something fundamental about humanity. Humans are primarily driven by story. While scientific rationality has propelled humanity forward immensely, it has neglected something fundamental: the connection to a meaningful life through a shared story. Humans have emulated and embodied myth throughout documented history. It has been a useful tool for us to discover things about ourselves in the world. In this regard, we are no different. There's an argument to be made that humans are driven by an implicit, unconscious myth. For example, the Judeo-Christian ethos is embedded directly into the legal system of the Western world. As we act in the system, we implicitly accept each human's divine right without recognizing the axiom's original implementation. Some people embody the myth of their social communities. Don't die as an example. More of their companies like Apple and Tesla with cult-like followings, and many of their nation. Even the most reason-based philosophies have some underlying myth that dictates the actions of those participating, such as the EAC movement, which makes a god of dissipative adaptation and acts according to the will of the universe. This leads me to an important question. If we embody a myth, are we meant to live the story that writes us as characters, or the story that we write ourselves? Are we meant to live our myth, a myth that calls from within? Our modern era seems to presuppose this is a foolish way to live. Not an impossible way of life, but a difficult lifestyle to walk due to the social resistance it receives. This ignorance pervades our exploration of the unknown. The world of the unknown is an unfamiliar home. While visiting, I feel a dense fog resting on my shoulders. Every step forward lays itself out as long as I'm respectfully thinking and intuiting. Each step makes itself known, and at times, the fog lifts, and I feel I can see as far as the horizon extends around me in all its horror and beauty. I live for the fog to lift, hoping to build something beautiful for those traveling with me in this new territory. However, exploring the unknown is dangerous. I risk sounding insane, and am likely to be inaccurate. The immense utility derived from science has led to the marginalization of concepts outside its framework, often labeling them as fringe or incorrect, disincentivizing its exploration. This is a dangerous way to think. Extend your time frame by 1,000 years and ask yourself, how much are we correct about today? 1%, I think, is extraordinarily generous. I would guess that we don't understand most of what there is to understand yet. Allow me to explore the deep unknown for the following sentence. How do we know that the paths we take and the things that take hold of us and guide our interests aren't beings themselves, operating at a frequency, energy, or dimension we cannot see or measure without current tooling? We don't know, because that statement isn't falsifiable and therefore it's not scientific. So what do we do with ideas like that one? We let them move on and sit in the idea sphere until somebody grabs the attention of someone at a time when those ideas are scientifically measurable. This is a poor solution. We need a framework for ideas and inquiry that aren't scientifically measurable, but worth extended exploration, as they may lead to some fundamental truth about the universe yet that we just can't measure. Some might argue that venturing beyond the scientific method risks embracing unfounded beliefs. However, integrating intuitive insights with rational thought doesn't dismiss science. It enriches our understanding by acknowledging the full spectrum of the human experience. Upon reflecting on the question of the afterlife, Carl Jung posed a solution in Memories, Dreams, Reflections for where information about questions that cannot be scientifically answered can be found and what we can do about it. My hypothesis is that we can do so with the aid of hints sent to us from the unconscious. Dreams, for example. Usually, we dismiss these hints because we are convinced that the question is not susceptible to answer. In response to this understandable skepticism, I suggest the following consideration. If there is something we cannot know, we must necessarily abandon it as an intellectual problem. For example, I do not know for what reason the universe has come into being, and shall never know. Therefore, I must drop this question as a scientific or intellectual problem. But if an idea about it is offered to me in dreams or in mythic traditions, I ought to take note of it. I even ought to build up a conception on the basis of such hints, even though it will forever remain a hypothesis which I know cannot be proved. Many of these ideas are to be found in our inner world, the unconscious world, which is vastly underexplored in relation the outer world, at least in modern times. Can we deliver something great for humanity with a proper orientation and following the guide of the inner world? Is it something that only our unique individual combination of experiences, thoughts, feelings, and interests was meant to deliver? Does each of us have this? At a minimum, an adventure awaits each of us in the world, one that is unique and only we can enact. All that's required is to leap into the story. Life can be complex, and some concerns make taking the leap difficult. Sometimes it is impractical to make the jump and act out one's myth. It's a problematic endeavor to see the story play out in front of you, being unable to contribute to the next sentence. In grappling with these ideas, I'm reminded of why I write. Writing an essay is an act of faith. I never know where I will land, but I know I will learn something about myself and the world by following through to the end. Inner and outer truth. The learning comes from the excitement, pain, intermittent boredom, creeping nihilism trying to claw me down, the anticipation of being well received, fear of rejection, the hope to find at least one more reader who connects with you, and the difficulty in walking a path that is uniquely individual to you, all while working carefully towards discovering the truth. Writing, in that way, is a microcosm of reality. I ask myself, why not then pursue the act of faith that awaits you? To which the only response I can gain comfort with is, well, life is more complicated than words on a page, so while the leap of faith might not be the reality in the moment, can take those leaps every day on a page. The journey is never meant and was never meant to be easy. Otherwise, what would be the point? But when one follows the path of individuation, when one lives one's own life, one must take mistakes into the bargain. Life would not be complete without them. There's no guarantee, not for a single moment, that we will not fall into error or stumble into deadly peril. You may think there is a sure road, but that would be the road of death. Then nothing happens any longer. At any rate, not the right things. Anyone who takes the sure road is as good as dead. Carl Jung. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, like the video, subscribe here, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified next time I drop a video. And check out the link in the description below, which links to my Substack. I release the essays that these videos are based on ahead of time on Substack. So if you want access to these ideas ahead of time, or you just want to read and join the community on Substack, check out the link in the description below and subscribe to the Frontier Letter. Thanks for watching. And until next time, everyone, take care of yourselves.